All right. So hello everyone, and welcome to .NET Morning Coffee. This is our 10th episode, so it's already 10th. Can you imagine that, Alexander?
Anniversary, man. I didn't prepare for it.
Okay. So yeah, actually, what we are going to talk about today is of course, it's a new release candidate, .NET 8 release candidate. Also, um, we will talk about Avalonia. We will talk about entity framework things. Um, yeah, so let's start from the .NET 8 part. Actually, the release of .NET 8 is coming, and a couple of weeks, well, yeah, 10 days ago, October 10, Microsoft launched .NET 8 Release Candidate 2, and of course, it came with ASP.NET Core, Entity Framework, MAUI. So in general, because it's already Release Candidate 2, you wouldn't see a lot of like significant changes in, especially in the core part, which is in a .NET SDK. So not too many things here in the release notes. Yeah, they updated some README files. Also, they improved the way how you can interact with MS Build, because when you use .NET CLI and you use .NET Publish command, then under the hood it's still MS Build that is responsible for building your project. It's just a little bit low level, but .NET CLI provide us high level APIs and clear commands like build, publish, tests. But again, under the hood, it's still MS Build, and now with some tweaks that Microsoft provided in Release Candidate 2, you can easily get some properties that were generated by MS Build, and then using the scripting scenarios that might be needed for your CI/CD, let's say. What else here? Ability to publish to tar gz archive instead of like no name, as far as I understand, Docker containers. So now it's like you can have clear tar gz shape. Again, might be useful for you. And the last one is TensorFlow primitives for .NET. So this should help you in case if you are involved in a kind of AI or machine learning scenarios. That's really it. So quite short release notes regarding .NET 8. So that means in general the shape of the APIs and features is completed. So we probably wouldn't see any significant changes in .NET 8 during the upcoming months. And just a reminder, in a month, Microsoft will launch .NET 8 officially, so it will be um, fully production ready framework that we can start consuming in our projects. And again, it will be LTS, right? It will be a long-term support version, because .NET 7 was a like short-term support, .NET 6 was long-term support, and .NET 8 will be long-term support. ASP.NET Core release candidate 2. So here we will see like a little wider list, and mostly because of the Blazor. So Microsoft invests a lot in the Blazor to make it like attractive for the developers, make it like more production ready for a lot of scenarios where you can start adapting Blazor. So it's release candidate 2 and still quite long list for Blazor changes. Mostly they were focused here on like different options that you can use for applying rendering mode. So just a reminder, so now you can have like a smart switch between server-side rendering, client-side rendering. So partially your Blazor app might be generated on a server, then transferred to the browser, and then continue rendering in the browser, and still do some requests for some of the components to the server. So like quite clever and complicated interactivity modes now will be offered in .NET 8 for Blazor. Also, there is an improvement for forms binding. So, for example, now if you are using minimal API, you can use from form attribute to bind your object from form fields. And if you have a file uploaded in the form, so you may have some properties and the file, so this file will be binded to the appropriate property, which is kind of cool because current experience of interacting with form binding is not so good. Also, there are a lot of like tweaks in Blazor templating. So now you can configure it, for example, to use with a new identity provider that Microsoft offers instead of proprietary identity server. Yeah, and SPA templates were also updated. So that's ASP.NET Core again. Microsoft completed vast majority of the functionality of ASP.NET Core except Blazor. So Blazor is still under the development. So Microsoft tries to bring as much as it's possible to Blazor part. Entity framework. So release candidate 2 contains like small tweaks, mostly related to like improvements of the generated SQL code. For example, better execute update, execute delete. Now it produces a little more optimized code, better use of inquiries. Again, that's what you can see in Entity Framework 7. In Entity Framework 8, it's a little bit nicer. There is a work on default values for databases. So for example, if you have a date, now you can use has default value SQL, and then you can provide well, not the perfect, but you can provide a string where you can put a function that will be called on a SQL Server side to provide you a default value when you insert in a new row in a database. In general, .NET 8 has a lot of tweaks, a lot of improvements. They are all listed here at the end of this article. By the way, I think I forgot to share the link to today's UR list, so I'm going to do that right now. 1 second. Okay. So you can take a look at this quite large list of improvements in the Entity Framework Core, and I think this happens again and again. So, and looking at this large list, you may start thinking, so is it was it ever
never stop.
production ready at all? Yeah. Yes. So quite a long list of the improvements in general.
Is it possible to even finish these improvements? I mean, what's the result they want to have in the end? Few bytes in the, I don't know, maybe few row in the assembler? I don't know.
Yes, so the biggest problem here is that you need to provide nice experience for C# developers who would like to use strongly typed C# language, LINQ syntax, and this nice C# syntax historically was transformed in a quite ugly SQL requests that are not optimal, and so there is a huge gap how to translate these C# queries into the SQL queries, so the SQL queries would work quite fast. So this is like the biggest problem here. It's like reinventing Google Translator, right?
Maybe.
One more update here regarding Entity Framework Core. It's related to the MongoDB provider. So if you ever worked with MongoDB, then you probably know that there was no Entity Framework provider for MongoDB, and that was like kind of expected because MongoDB is NoSQL database, while Entity Framework, at least like not the core version, the one that was like for full framework, well, not for full, for legacy, for .NET framework, was mostly designed for work with the relational databases. But then Microsoft started investing in Entity Framework Core, and they adopted it, I think, to Cosmos DB. I'm not sure if Cosmos DB provider was ever launched. I think it was a kind of like preview or proof of concept. So now MongoDB folks are working actively on providing us MongoDB provider for Entity Framework Core, and they launched like first release, preview release. It's in a very early stage. As you can see, the supported what is supported in preview 1, it's a quite short list, like only basic querying capabilities here. A lot of things are not working. For example, even login is not shipped yet. Transactions are not there, but like you can try actually. Try it out yesterday, and it seems like it is working. So I was able to insert the data into the MongoDB database, then read with where statements. So it's kind of working solution, but of course not production ready. In general, I was really happy with Mongo client, this one that is created here, when I worked with MongoDB. So I'm a little bit skeptical here whether we need entity framework provider from MongoDB if native client is working really nice. So what's your thoughts?
I used a native client some time ago, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I do not remember exactly experience, so it was like, it was just working, right?
Yeah. And you have like all native capabilities of Mongo available for you. So again, what could be the scenario? So you really like Entity Framework, and you wanted to use it everywhere. You like its shape, its API, or what? So please guys, put your comments regarding that. Are you going to use MongoDB provider for Entity Framework, or you will prefer to use a native Mongo client? Really interesting.
Maybe it is again for this abstract case when we have to, for some reason, switch database.
So, for example, you have an abstract repository, and under the hood you used like, let's say, MySQL database, and then the decision was made by someone to switch to MongoDB.
Our life is so sad, and we have to switch database. Boom.
And yeah, and then you just change the provider, and now
that is it.
Instead of MySQL, you have like a MongoDB working solution
without logging.
Yeah. Okay, that's fun. All right. So let's move on. What else do we have? Performance improvements in ESP.NET Core.
Okay, so I'll try to cover this topic. And actually, before I will start, I would say that lately I've been noticed that performance improvements at .NET Core becoming more and more, low level, more precise. Previously, maybe a few years ago, it was like we fixed the bug in some place, we removed some redundant code, changed, for example, switch case to for cycle or something like this. But now the improvements are more like precise, and it is good example. If we'll scroll down, we'll see the first improvement in Kestrel, that they improved the parsing of incoming header, and they improved
that's actually
specific
that's a nice thing, yeah, because each time when you have a new request, you need to parse your headers.
Yeah, and they improved the specific path of parsing when the header is spread across multiple bytes in the request, and they improved it, and it works 90% faster. these changes every time impress me because you have to sit and completely understand how it goes. Did a lot of analysis, and it is not easy to understand that this exactly passing the parsing will works not super good, right? And even more, not understand, improve it. But they
Yeah,
did it.
yeah. I also like in this article that they mentioned that now we have 3 servers, which is
Hmm.
Kestrel, HTTP/Sys, and IIS. That's fun, and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
have a comparison for all these
Hmm.
servers.
Yeah, that's cool. What I mostly like in this article is information about AOT. And before we will go to AOT,
Hmm.
they have to mention something about trimming. So previously, the trimming was announced in .NET 6 or 7. No, it was announced in .NET 7, I suppose, or 6. Sorry, I forgot. But anyway, it was kind of basic because it was able to trim just some assemblies that it was targeted to trimming. Not
Yeah,
all your application can be trimmed. Now it is trimming whole application. It means
.NET
that we
6. Yeah,
can increase,
starting from .NET 6, we have this published
right?
limit. Hmm.
And then in .NET 8, we support trimming for all application, not only for specific libraries. We have to enable it as usually in some project configuration, but anyway, we have it. What's the benefit of it? Again, it is size of application. It is in comparison with .NET 7, .NET 8 has a size of no, just empty application, just plain ASP.NET Core application with I forgot the approach. The approach
Published
when we
limit.
don't have controllers. Um,
Minimal API.
Minimal API, exactly. With minimal API, less than 40%, right? But the negative side of it, as soon as we're trying to analyze and trim whole your application, the build time is increased. So it is not significant, but 2 times or 3 times you have this increase of build time. It is kind of, I think I can say that it's painful, but you have to take it into consideration.
Yeah. So yeah, this table nicely illustrates what's going on when you
Hmm.
disabled trimming and then enabled. So the difference in the result in application size is dramatic. So even for .NET 7, it's like 3 times slower trimmed version.
Hmm.
Slower, I said slower, lower, and publish duration also is increased. Yes, so you will have to wait a little more when you publish your application, which is probably fine because currently on the vast majority of the projects we do not have large monoliths. We usually have microservices, and for .NET 8, it's even the situation is even better. So untrimmed version is 90 megs, and trimmed version is only 17 megs.
Yeah, and maybe I mentioned it wrong way. So it is not build time; it is publishing time. So
Publishing.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, you are not publishing from your local machine very often, at least, and I suppose it will not
Well,
affect you at all.
it will increase the time that you will have to wait until your CI/CD pipelines are
Maybe,
passed.
yep, yep. So next step. So we trimmed our application, and now we can enable the IoT. So what's the benefit of it? Again, we're decreasing the size of application, we're decreasing startup time, but again, where we have to increase the time of building or sorry, publishing this application. So if we'll take a look at the tables, as I open at my
Yeah.
desktop, you'll see this the size of results application even less than 13 megabytes at 12 and 0.6,
Yeah.
but the build time 22 seconds. It is, I can't say that is a lot, but previously it was 71 seconds, and it is big improvement.
Well, yeah, I think you need to understand what you would like to achieve. Probably if you decide to go with AOT scenario, then that's a good candidate for pushing this into a kind of Lambda or Azure container apps where you would like to scale to zero in order to have some money, some cost saves. So in that case, you decided to go with AOT in order to have like better startup time and smaller footprint.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, moving next. So they introduced request delegate generator. It is a special class, let's call it special method to make possible to do publishing with AOT, the minimal API, because without it, you'll have a lot of errors during build time, and even more, your application will not work as expected. If it will, finally you will build it with a native AOT support, it can not work as expected. It is a special stuff that is allowing you to build minimal API with the support of native AOT.
Yeah, and if we take a look at these tables, we will see like really dramatic difference in the first request handling time. So when we have a non-IoT scenario without request delegate, what's generator, delegate generator, it's 187 milliseconds, while for IoT scenario with this request delegate generator, it's 60 milliseconds. And this is like when we have two roads, and when we have more than 1,000 roads. So as you can see, the IoT scenario is 84 milliseconds, while without
12
request
times.
delegate, yeah. So
that's super cool.
that's like really awesome. So for lambdas, I could assume that like a big win for lambdas or Azure functions. That's
it
like,
is very fit for it.
yeah, I agree.
Okay, moving next. So some improvements in the runtime APIs. The first thing, the search values. This special class which was introduced in the previous release candidate or previous preview versions, and a special class which allows you to do more efficient search. By default, under the hood, it uses index of to search some substring in the string and optimize to have an optimized for string which has 4 characters, not more than 4 characters in the search. This class is more constructed for for performance optimization. I didn't look into how it looks under the hood, but they promise that it works much more faster than index of approach. Next, span. So again, some improvements. They started to use specific class memory extension split, right? And the main benefit of it is just the decrease of allocations. Next thing, it is frozen dictionary. It is completely new type. What
I
is
like
it?
the name. I like the
Yeah,
name.
me too. So what is the purpose of it? This is the dictionary which is kind of very fit for get operations, for read operation, but the cost of it is slow construction of this dictionary. And ASP.NET Core was switched to this dictionary in the routing, right? And so because we're doing we're querying this dictionary almost every time when we're doing the request, and in the benchmark that they did, we see that the execution time, I mean routing itself, now is faster 2.5 and more than 3.5 times than with a usual dictionary. Can you scroll down? We'll find this table.
This is,
I don't know, for some reason they provided a full implementation of this frozen class here. I don't know why, but usually they do not do this. But it looks promising, right? Because 3 times
for
faster
example, if we compare the very bottom line, we will see that in the mean value is like almost 3 times faster. for 1,000 rows.
Right. What else? Again, about routing, they increase performance of regex route constraint. Before, I don't know why, but before they didn't use some regex options, compiled options of regex, and because of it, it was not possible to fully do some IoT compilation around it. So now it supports. Now they just disable this special settings internally, and it works more faster than before, right? They did a specific benchmark, to test how it works in the in the wall application. I tried to understand this benchmark, how they measure it, but based on their measurement, it works. I don't know, maybe half percent. Sorry, 50% faster, something like this. I tried to analyze this, the benchmark that they provided, but didn't get the idea what they measured actually.
So basically, they use this benchmark.net library,
right,
for all the measurements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can in theory run on your own machine and see the differences.
Yeah, I need to try. And another enhancement, I suppose it is important in the string builder. So it allows you under the hood, it has a specific overload of methods to construct strings with append method, and now it supports string literals internally. So it allows you to append string which is formatted as a literal without allocation of the string. Sounds weird, but it is possible. So if we'll take a look, no, it is not this article. So I'm just reading a separate article about it, and it has some examples how it works under the hood. It looks weird, but it works. So it just understand that the string that you provided, it is not just a string, it is a string literal, and does a specific work for it.
Cool.
Yeah, and there's it. Not a lot of, but again, it is a release candidate, and even for release candidate, we have some performance improvement.
So I'm really confused. Where is the Tekken Power benchmark results? Are they stopped contributing to it, or what? Or maybe? So what happened with Tekken Power benchmarks?
I don't know.
It's not mentioned here. Okay. So set of articles from Andrew Locke.
Yeah, this is very famous guy. I suppose that every developer, .NET developer, know this person. And so if you are not satisfied by articles in the Dev Microsoft, you definitely have to go and read some their posts and some their article. So
Yeah, I really like that he's focused on like small particular things of .NET 8. Like for example, there is an article about new minimal API source generator. So in the release notes article from Microsoft, it's only mentioned and just highlighted that it exists. So Andrew does a dive into this topic to explain what's going on there. Same, for example, for form binding in minimal APIs or identity API endpoints. So
yeah, they're covering some stuff which is not obvious for us. I mean, maybe it is for some reason it is obvious for Microsoft guys, but for the most of developers, it is not obvious how it works. I mean, maybe it is a completely new feature. Maybe something old, but is not very well documented or not very well explained. He's covering almost all this topic. And what is the negative side of their article? They're kind of big.
Okay.
And it is not possible, at least for me, it is not possible to read all of this article and then as a one-time reading operation or something like this.
For example,
But
yes.
if you have
So
a time
it's quite boring reading about
yeah,
Docker images in .NET 8, and it's quite long. Yeah, so it's even my hand is even like unsatisfied with scrolling because it's a lot of scrolling that I have to do.
Yeah,
Agree.
but if you have a time, for example, today in the Friday evening, morning, you can take a bottle of beer, coffee, and read one or two there his article, and I suppose finally you'll be satisfied.
Yeah, Avalonia. Some updates from Avalonia. It's your favorite UI framework, right?
Yeah, I like it, really like it, and actually I use it in my current project. I try to. It is not heavily used, but I created some special utility, some helper stuff to make my work as a developer much more easy, right? And even more, I shared it with team members. They're also kind of satisfied how it looks and how it works.
So
This
what they brought to us?
so it is kind of more or less experimental. I can say it is working well. At least I am in the chat of developers of this stuff, and so basically it works, but not super good currently. Not what means not super good in the performance side.
Mm-hmm.
But if you will take a look at the explanation of this thing, they think they are not trying to improve Avalonia by Maui UI. They are trying to improve Maui UI by Avalonia because Avalonia has a lot of has more interesting features for mobile development, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is pixel perfect. Sorry, forgot the word. Pixel perfect
Rendering.
drawing, rendering, right? And some stuff. But basically, that's the idea. It is integrate Maui UI into Avalonia and integrate
And
Avalonia
vice
to Maui
versa.
UI,
Yeah.
right? So it works in both directions. You can
Yeah.
try it, play with it,
I
and
really like this builder syntax that
yeah,
looks like very similar to what we have in ESP.NET Core.
hmm
So you just said use Maui app and then use
hmm
Avalonia. So you added Maui, you added Avalonia, and now you can start crafting your UI. For example, you decided to start from Avalonia. Oh, sorry, I think it's Maui. So you started
hmm
from Maui, you created stack layout, and then you realized you need some controls from Avalonia, and you injected Avalonia view into your stack layout, and then you added Avalonia button,
yeah,
let's say.
that's right. And moreover, about mobile development, they're fully targeted to improve and somehow enhance mobile development in the next year. And I suppose that we'll have this enhancement because I have tried to early builds of it. Um, it works super fast actually. Under the hood, it doesn't use the Xamarin at all. So it is more or less like it behaves more or less like a native. And
Native.
for example,
Hmm.
right, and the start type of it, of the simple example, just application with a few buttons, just like a boom, it
Hmm.
is up and running without any delay.
Cool. That's so nice to see that a community project is so competitive to what Microsoft is trying to invent in
hmm
Maui. So yeah, I think it's definitely a positive case for the whole .NET ecosystem.
That's right. I agree.
And this one is really fun because third-party vendors started
hmm
inventing controls, started investing in the controls development for the Avalonia.
hmm
It's cool.
And it is interesting, right? I already tried these controls yesterday. It looks super good. It is really production ready, professional made production ready controls for Avalonia.
And there is
The
like a free offering from them, right?
Yep,
So
yep.
some of the controls probably for some of the controls you will have to pay, yeah, and some
But
are free.
look, the paid version is, it is kind of limited. You don't have a lot of new controls in the paid version. Almost so, paid versions includes only one important control. It is a dialogues control. And there is it. The rest of them, I can say that it is something important that you have to pay. Basic version of it, I mean, the significant part of controls, which is included in the Astro team and Astro Aspire, sorry, Aspire Core are free. So
So
it is
when I
super
looked at
useful.
this application, I thought it's a native desktop application on macOS, but then I read this description under the picture, and it tells that it is sample browser application.
Yeah,
How cool
it
is
is.
that?
They call
Just
it.
just
They
take a
call it. Yeah, I've run it. This sample application. They call it just a browser application, maybe because browse your all available controls in this,
okay.
in
So it's
their
it's a
ecosystem. It's not a
desktop, right?
browser. Yeah, it's just a desktop
Okay.
application to browse their controls. Interesting stuff that they provide as a free options. It is this replacement of default Windows Chromium decorator. I mean, you will not see this default decorator for Windows or for macOS. You'll have your own custom decorator. I mean, the custom header with some buttons, something like this. It is pretty unusual stuff.
It's
But yep.
it's really cool to see that
Hmm.
that third party vendor started investing in a community project.
Hmm. That's cool.
Okay, and probably the last one for today. So I would like to advertise you guys to join us in November 30 to our .NET Conf co-event. So this would be an official co-event conducted by Pro.NET community. So we agreed on a partnership with Microsoft, so that we are official right now, and Microsoft will do some advertising for us, probably distribute us some swag, share the materials, and based on the support from Microsoft and what we will see on the .NET Conf in the middle of November, we will launch our own community event where we discuss all that we will hear on November's conference, .NET Conf conference. Of course, we will talk about .NET 8, C# features, ASP.NET Core. Yeah, we will do that again and again because I think it's kind of cool to repeat some things many times, because some of the features, in order to start adapting of some of the features, we just need some time. We just need to talk, to analyze from different angles what's applicable for production, what's just a noise. Yeah, and maybe Microsoft will share like some really cool things. Of course, we will talk about it as well, some major scenarios or anything else. So please register. The event will be in a hybrid mode. We will have a broadcast, and we will have offline part conducted in Vilnius. So for offline part, we have a limited amount of seats available. So in case if you can attend online, you can choose this option. If you can come up in person, then try to reserve an offline seat for you. Yeah, I guess that's
Super.
it. I guess that's it for today. Thanks everyone for joining our morning coffee. Hope you got some interesting things to think about, some articles to read during today's evening, as Alexander suggested. Maybe you will explore Andrew's Locke articles, or try out a new MongoDB provider for Entity Framework. So I wish you then a good luck, and have a good rest of your day, and of course, happy weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.